Hi everyone, this is Representative Pam Altendorf, and we are back here in my office live on Tuesday morning. And I know I just went live yesterday, so we're going live twice in 24 hours. That's exciting. Well, maybe for me. But anyways, I received a package yesterday and I know what's in it, but I'm gonna unwrap it for you to see what's in it. And we're gonna do that live here today. So hang tight, we're gonna unwrap the box. And I also want to talk to you a little bit today. On Tuesdays, there's a rural Republican caucus, we call ourselves, but all of the people out in the rural districts, we get together, both the senators and the state representatives, and we talk about greater Minnesota, and we talk about what we can do to help, and focusing on issues that's really affecting greater Minnesota, but ultimately it also is affecting the health of all of Minnesota. So I've really enjoyed participating in that in our discussions. Today, our discussion was on mental health. And so we had a speaker come today and really talk about some of the subjects of what's happening in the mental health world. And I've heard this being on the Education Finance Committee. I've heard, very specifically that we're really struggling, especially in schools, especially with young people. We have a very significant increase in demand and a need for mental health services. This is in the schools, but also in the greater public. And it's a crisis. And really what is happening is the demand, so I'm just gonna throw out a number, but let's say the demand has gone up 20%, which is pretty accurate, but don't quote me, it might be off a little bit. But the demand for people really needing some counseling, some help with their mental health has gone up approximately, again, I'm just throwing this out, but 20%. And we can't meet that demand, because that specifically means we do not have the counselors, the therapists, we do not physically have enough people right now in the state of Minnesota to meet this demand. So it really is a crisis, and we talk, we brainstorm about what we can do. Can we, add some funds? Can we do this and that? Of course, that's our job as government officials, and we want to make sure that we are helping in any way that we possibly can. Just to give you one statistic that I took away was, she said back in like 2003, it would be on average, they would get something like 300 to 400 calls a month. On a health crisis type call. This is the mental health department. And in January 2023, just to give you an idea, so in 20 years, so from 2003 getting approximately 300 to 400 calls a month, in January of 2023, we had a record number, 4,000 calls for mental health. And that truly is a crisis. That is a 10 times increase over 20 years. So don't forget, I'm going to open my box here. But I wanted to talk to you because, yes, it is our job as government officials to look at every way possible that we as government officials can help fund or put resources in these areas to try to help. We absolutely want to do that. But I'm going to ask you, the public, what are you doing to help? I really, really want you to think about this, because right now the problem is in this one particular incident, we do not have enough mental health care workers. We do not have enough therapists. We do not have enough people in this field. We do not have the physical human beings to reach this need. And so again, I'm going to ask you, what are you doing to help? It's a really great question to ask, because this is a problem everywhere, in every community, all across Minnesota. We just came off of COVID, of years of fear that was happening, especially with our students, of masking, of the vaccines, of a lot of misinformation. So we just have been driven by fear, and now we're seeing this mental health crisis. Now, I believe as, the public in general, myself, everyone, that we are very deceived to always think that government is going to solve the problems. And that only if we got more funding, we could solve the problem. Only if I could get my state representative to support this bill, I would solve the problem. And that's why I'm here today, is because I'm asking you a very serious question. If we're having a mental health care crisis in Minnesota, which it's fact, we are, in our students and in Minnesota, once again, what are you doing to help? Think about the pioneers, 100 years ago or more. Do you think when there was a problem that not me, I wasn't there, but they sat around and they were like, gosh, if the government would just swoop in and help us, if only the government would come and help us, we would solve this problem? I don't think so. So why are we so programmed as a people to believe that the government is the answer and the government's just going to swoop in and solve the problem? Could it possibly be a lie? Could it possibly be that the real answer comes deep within you and it comes within our communities? Is it possible that we have to start taking personal ownership for what's happening and stop waiting for someone else to come save us? Is it possible, being that we are really in a crisis situation right now in mental health, in our schools, in crime, that it's time for our churches to step up, that it's time for volunteers to step up, to maybe be like a big brother or a big sister to someone in the neighborhood, to a kid that's struggling? Or if you're going on a family event, maybe taking another kid with you that really needs some help and doesn't have that adult support. What are you doing to help the mental health crisis? The Minnesota government, we could pour billions of dollars into this, and if the people aren't there, if the therapists aren't there, the problem still isn't going to get solved. Not for 4 years. We're 4 years away from being able to build that up. But let's take this another step and let's look at what is the root of the problem. Have we broken down the family? In communities, are we being a community? Are we doing community events together? How is our church doing? Are we reaching out to young people in trouble? Honestly, I think we all have to look at ourselves right now. Government is not the answer. It's not the answer. It certainly has its place, but we have to have some honest conversations here in Minnesota and ask ourselves, what has happened to our society? And if we want this to change, it doesn't matter how many police officers we hire if our kids are out of control, if crime rate is out of control. We're never going to be able to get on top of it. And the same with the mental health. We can hire therapists after therapists after therapists, but if we don't address the root problem being what happened to our families, what happened to our communities, what happened to the breakdown of our society, we are never going to be able to hire enough therapists to get on top of this problem. So I'm asking you, what are you doing to help Minnesota? And now I got my scissors. I haven't opened this up yet, so hopefully it doesn't take me super long. Oops. If it does, hang with me, everybody. Oh, okay. Of course, I didn't. Oh, can you see? Okay, we're opening up the box. Sorry, it's a really big box, so it's not easy to do. Oh, no. Sorry, it's really, really big. I didn't practice this, or I should have maybe had it pre-cut and then pretended I was opening it. Sorry. Okay, that works better. I just took instead of cutting, I just sliced it. Okay, now I'm slicing the other side. Okay, so what's in, whoop, whoop. Oh, it's falling. Okay, so what's in the box? Okay, well, I don't have a lot of decorations up in my office yet. Okay, so I don't have a lot of decorations of my office yet. So I had a really, really good friend of mine. She's really great at graphic art. And she made me a design to put in my office. So I'm going to show you. Whoops, can you see it? I am so excited. That's awesome. Thanks, Tony. She's the one that made it. God doesn't give the hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. Sorry. He creates the toughest soldiers through life's hardest battles. Sorry. I wasn't gonna cry. Okay, you have to be a soldier. All of us have to help the kids. We truly are at a mental health crisis. Help the kids in your area. God bless.